Hello, and welcome to Inventors Helping Inventors. I'm your host, Alan Beckley, inventor of the Wonder Wallet. If you're an inventor searching for proven ways to make money with your invention, if you dream to see your product selling in stores everywhere, you've come to the right place. There's no better place to get help than from experts, inventors who've already achieved success. Every week, I interview successful inventors, asking them the questions you want to know. Tune in to learn from the experts so you can get your invention out of the tank and into the bank.
And my expectations are nearly always met with a different result than what I envisioned at the beginning. And this is where it's up to us to transform a challenge into an opportunity. And I can't even begin to tell you how much I've learned in this process and will continue learning. And that's the reason why I believe having a why is so important, because that will be your anchor, your North Star through all these challenges.
IHI Nation, don't you absolutely hate to miss out on something good? I want to share with you that my premier training for inventors, the Inventors Bootcamp, well, registration closed at midnight Sunday, last night, so you just missed out. However, I provide for listeners to my podcast only. If you act quickly and you're listening on Monday, the 14th of October, you'll get an extension. You can still sign up to join the Inventors Bootcamp. So you'll get 5 days of live Zoom meeting training. It's going to teach you how to compare and contrast your invention versus the competition to make it stand out. And then from that, you'll create a clear, concise, and compelling 30-second pitch for your product, the kind that gets attention with marketers. So how do you sign up and still get into the bootcamp? Make sure to register today, Monday, the 14th of October. Just go to alanbeckley.com/bootcamp. And oh, by the way, all this training, the 5 days of live Zoom meetings, is available to you for only $47. But you can't wait. This is the last day, and it's only open to podcast listeners like you on Monday, October the 14th. Again, to join us tonight in the bootcamp that starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, just go to alanbeckley.com/bootcamp. Many podcast listeners just like you have joined us in the bootcamp and are making progress and gaining traction. I look forward to seeing you in the bootcamp tonight. Welcome to episode number 450. Today, I interview Julieta Hughes. Julieta Hughes is an Argentinian-born artist whose passion has always been in the arts, especially portrait drawing, which she discovered at the age of 3 years old when she got chickenpox. By staying home for several weeks, she decided to pick up a pencil, and she's been drawing ever since. As a portrait artist, Julieta faced a constant struggle in making facial portraits look natural, facial proportions, not only for her, but for every portrait artist she has ever met or known of. One day, while wondering how to solve this issue, an innovative idea emerged, an art device to assist portrait artists, especially beginners, on the proper placement of facial proportions. From this, she invented the solution, her invention, the face mapper. For portrait artists, the face mapper means less frustration, less guesswork, and hours of saved time. In her ongoing journey as an inventor, she has discovered that big achievements are possible through small, consistent steps, and above all, the unshakable belief in her product and how it can benefit aspiring as well as experienced artists of any background, anywhere. Her mission is to make the face mapper available in art schools, art supply stores, and for artists of any level, any age, to benefit and encourage their art journey. You'll want to listen to this entire interview where Julieta describes how she believes that behind every challenge, there's a hidden treasure you can turn into valuable lessons and personal growth opportunities. Also, while her long-term goal is to license her product, she feels that manufacturing some of her face mappers and selling them will give her valuable feedback to take to licensees. And finally, how she believes that knowing your why for what you are doing is your North Star that is essential to fuel your success. Now let's get right to our interview with Julieta Hughes. Julieta Hughes, it's a pleasure to have you back on the podcast with us again today.
Thank you, Alan. I'm really happy to be back in the podcast.
Julieta, we last interviewed you on the podcast back in November of 2023. That was episode 356. For our listeners who've not listened to that episode, you might want to pause this episode and listen to that one first. I've known you, I think, for almost 3 years now, and I've watched you make step-by-step progress refining your face mapper invention, securing a patent for it, then validating it with artists. In this podcast episode, I'm looking forward to you sharing with our listeners what has happened with the face mapper during the almost 1 year since we last talked. For our listeners who may not have heard either of the previous episodes, Julieta, can you briefly describe what the face mapper is, how it works, and why it's a great tool for artists, and particularly portrait artists?
Absolutely. The face mapper is an art tool that assists the artist with the proper placement of facial proportions. And the reason why this is important is because if you, listener, have ever attempted to draw a face, or even if you're an experienced portrait artist, chances are that sometimes eyes or nose are off, one eye was higher than the other one, just to mention a couple of results. And then one erases and tries again over and over to end up completely discouraged. The face mapper solves these issues and sets the foundation of natural looking results every time, spending only a fraction of the time on your drawing than you used to.
That's fantastic, and it sounds like a tool that is very definitely needed. I wanted to mention that you're now entering one of the most exciting, but also challenging phases every inventor faces, and that is marketing and commercializing your product. Can you share with our listeners the path you've chosen towards marketing the face mapper? And also, why have you chosen this particular path for your product? And were there any surprises or unique challenges you've had to overcome in the process? So, 3 questions in one there.
Yes, definitely. So, my main goal for the face mapper is to license it. But while I'm currently contacting potential licensing companies, I have also decided to adopt a hybrid approach, if you will, meaning that I have just released a limited quantity of face mapper units for artists that signed up on a wait list that I have opened probably, I think I opened a few months ago, and then to the general public until this number is completely sold out. And my purpose for doing this, answering one of your questions, is this isn't about monetary gain, but their review as regular users and owners of the tool and not just testers, which was part of my journey to having testers, but them being owners of the tool, that will add to arsenal, quote unquote, if you will, valuable information to present to potential licensing companies. And that way I would increase my chances to have the tool licensed. And then as far as challenges go, there are surprises and expected challenges in every step of the process, such as, for example, companies not responding as soon as I expected or different answers than I was hoping for, and a lot of curveballs. And me also learning new skills to continue the journey, learning to be more organized, things like that. And my expectations are nearly always met with a different result than what I envisioned at the beginning. And this is where it's up to us to transform a challenge into an opportunity. And I can't even begin to tell you how much I've learned in this process and will continue learning. And that's the reason why I believe having a why is so important, because that will be your anchor, your North Star through all these challenges.
That's fantastic. And I'd like to just highlight a couple of the key points that you made. And one of them is there's not just 1 or 2 paths to the marketplace, so to speak. People think, oh, I either have to license it or I have to manufacture it and do it all myself. There are multiple paths forward. And one of the ones, the one that you're looking at doing is, as you referred to, is a hybrid approach. And that is you focus on your real long-term goal and that's your North Star, as you referred to it, and that is to license the product. But in the meantime, you have the ability and you've chosen to manufacture some and then be able to sell them and provide them to people and get some really valuable feedback from them as users that is going to add to your arsenal when you go to license it. You can say, my users, my buyers tell me this. And then you also spoke to some of the challenges, unique challenges that you faced, and that basically when you get into this phase, there's lots of curveballs. Often what you expect and what happens are two different things. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. One has to be prepared for, realizing that what one expects is probably different from what one will get, and be willing to embrace that and take that as part of the learning process.
And the other question, since you've been like so many inventors working at this for a few years, have there been things along your journey that you completely didn't expect, but as you worked through them, maybe some of them turned out to be beneficial in a way that you didn't expect? Can you think of anything that would fit that description?
Absolutely. The first thing that comes to mind is realizing, I think I said that a little bit ago, about taking those challenges and transforming them into opportunities of growth. Because many times we automatically think, oh no, I didn't get the result that I wanted. Therefore, this is probably not going to work. Why should I even bother? Waste my time or spend money, whatever it is. But I think that if we change our perspective a little bit, those can turn into big learning opportunities, which will make us probably better equipped to continue the journey as we go. Because I'm a true believer that if we keep pressing on, results will come. They eventually will come. And I'm seeing it myself because we get so focused on what we still don't have that we forget to actually look at what we have achieved. And that's a huge point as well. So it's about changing your point of view and your perspective on the whole process.
Another great point. So much of success is between our two ears, so to speak, and our attitudes and the way we choose to frame things. You can frame a circumstance as good, bad, or indifferent, but the circumstance itself doesn't change, but the way we choose to view it changes. So you can take something that initially seems very negative and then see it perhaps as an opportunity for growth, for example. And then sometimes it points you in the direction of something you otherwise probably wouldn't have found on your own at all.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is a cliche phrase as well, but if it was easy, everybody would do it. But the truth is, very few people get to that point. And it's not because they get lucky or because they became like famous overnight or anything like that. It's because they continue being persistent and consistent through it all, through all the challenges. And I think, like you say, is about changing the way we see the situation instead of trying to change the situation for our advantage. But we have it there. So how are you going to look at it? How are you going to work with it? So I think that's where the key lies.
Julieta, what are your plans and next steps now along your inventor's journey, say during the next 6 months to a year? And also, have you discovered any unique applications for your face mapper tool that you didn't anticipate?
Yes, definitely. My plans for the next 6 months to a year, I would say they would be to have a number of people, at least 15 people, use the tool on a regular basis and get their feedback, because this to me is extremely important at this moment, since I've learned that when it comes to it, potential licensing companies want to know this will be worth their time and effort. And what better way to show them than having customers that love it and use it all the time? And then another goal that I have is to continue contacting companies with new skills I constantly learn on how to approach them, how to talk to them, what is a proper way to communicate with them, doing follow ups, having a very effective promotional video, because as we know, a photo or a video are worth 1,000 words or more, and even build a relationship with them during these stages. And then another goal would be to continue growing my social media platforms, the ones referred to the Face Mapper, with illustrations of what the Face Mapper can do, asking the users mentioned before for their feedback to make this tool's reputation much more solidified, as well as hearing from them any opportunities for growth or modifications. Because one thing that I have also learned, Alan, through the whole process is that people see things that I don't see. They're like, oh, I'm not into realistic portrait drawing, but I do anime. And look, this worked for anime. This was a 10, 11-year-old kid that did one of my testers. And I'm like, that's amazing. I never thought that it would work for that. So it's so important to have that extra input. And then I have other plans, but those will come once the face mapper is licensed. So that might be for next year's podcast once that happens. And then something else that I would like to say, I have discovered that the face mapper could be a valuable tool as far as your question of other applications. It could be a valuable tool for things I had not thought about, such as forensics, for example. So my future plan includes to present it to the proper entity in regards to this. For example, since forensic artists likely have to work really fast by nature, time is of the essence, I believe the face mapper would be a very valuable addition to their toolkit. And this applies to police as well as missing people, children. I honestly believe that possibilities are endless, and I would absolutely love to help with something like this.
So many good points there, and I'd like to just highlight a couple of them. One of them is you briefly referred to the idea of developing a relationship, for example, with potential licensees. I want to stress this is extremely important, is to recognize that when you are looking to license your product, this is going to be a multi-year relationship, hopefully, and you want to build it from the very beginning with that thought in mind. I think far too many inventors think of it as like a transaction. I'm just going to put it out there to them. They're going to say, this is great. We want to do it. Let's do the transaction. And then both parties go their own way. And that's that. But it's not like that. And companies don't want to work with somebody, honestly, who they feel doesn't really want to have a professional relationship, as you pointed to. And then you also spoke to a couple of different applications that surprised you. And one was a child referring to anime. And that you didn't think about anime, but that is an application. And then I also like the idea of forensics because guess what? You may think of this as primarily a business to consumer tool, mostly consumers buying it. But now, if you're working with forensic artists in police stations, et cetera, now it has some business to business applications. It illustrates how your product and its marketplace can grow if you just keep moving forward with it.
Definitely. And that's wonderful. And like I mentioned before, none of that probably wouldn't have even been possible to know unless I share this idea with the right people, with my testers, and because we tend to have as inventors, we tend to have sometimes funnel vision. We see it for the purpose that we created it for. But I think, and this applies perhaps to many other things, that when people see it, then you start discovering that it can have other uses that are probably even more important or more meaningful than what you initially expected.
As we roll towards a close, Julieta, are there any parting words you'd like to leave us with?
Yes, I would like to say a few things, probably similar to a few that I said in the first podcast. And probably that goes to show you that my driving force has been the same one from the beginning and more, but it's about the same thing that I was mentioning the North Star before. That if you're an inventor or if you're trying to start your own venture or invention, business, whatever it may be, it's very important to have your why as your North Star, saying that term again, because it's essential in this journey as well as any venture, like I said. For example, my why in this case is not just about making pretty portraits. It's about a person not getting discouraged and giving up on a life scale, in this case, art, that inspires, promotes creativity, and can even save lives, really. So our existence would be pretty dry and arid without art. And my tool was made to bring people closer to it instead of them giving up too soon, which I see all the time. And instead of them being convinced they're not good enough. And then another thing I'd like to say is that challenges are part of the journey. That's just a given. We live in a world that fools us into thinking we'll become viral sensations overnight, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The hidden treasure, in my opinion, behind the challenges is how much we learn and grow as individuals if we learn how to take them to our advantage. And all this learning will serve us as we move forward in our journey, equips us to better represent our dream, in this case, my invention, and why we believe in it so much. It's hard, it's not easy, but always worth it in the end. And as long as we don't give up, we never lose. So that's the parting words I'd like to leave.
Such great points. I'd just like to hit on the one in particular, the having a why. I truly believe that, like you do, that's absolutely essential because that's it's going to be your North Star, as you said, and it's going to keep you going when you get discouraged. When you have a bad day, you think, why in the heck am I even doing these things? And then you say, because there's thousands, tens of thousands of artists who give up every day because it just seems too tough. And this product can help encourage them, keep them going, and further their career, for example, as well as end up providing beautiful art. So, such good points. My final question then is, how can our listeners reach you if they have other questions?
Wonderful. Yes, I have a few ways that they can reach me. I have a few platforms. I have LinkedIn. Just look me up under that Julieta K. Hughes, Julieta, K as in key, Hughes, Hughes. That's my LinkedIn. And then my website, they can check out my work and different things. It's www.julietakhughesart.com. And if they have any specific questions about the face mapper, interested in getting their own, learning more, it's also on Instagram, face mapper. That's the name of the Instagram account. And I will also leave my email in case you have any questions. It's info@julietakhughesart.com.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing those different ways. And just one real quick highlight is just the website is www.julietakhughesart.com. And then your email is info@julietakhughesart.com, right?
That's correct. Yes, that's my email. So basically, my website and my email are like the same, except for the info part on the email, but they're the same name, julietakhughesart.com.
Julieta, I want to thank you once again for being on the podcast with us and sharing your journey with us and really inspiring our listeners to recognize the journey can be long and rocky, but it is a personal growth experience. You learn and you grow from it and you develop your product that way. So once again, I just want to thank you for being on the podcast with us.
Oh, you're very welcome. And thank you for having me on the podcast again. And I sure hope that my words can inspire the listeners. And if you have any questions, let me know, but always keep going. When in doubt, just keep going.
Fantastic. Thanks again. I wanted to give you a chance to join our new 3-class workshop, 3 Proven Steps to Your Invention Success, where you'll learn exactly that. Proven steps most inventors don't know. But you've got to act fast if you want to join us. The first class is Tuesday, October 22nd. Here's what you will learn when you join the workshop. Number 1, product search. How to do a thorough product search for any idea. Number 2, prototyping. How to create prototypes for your product without breaking the bank. And number 3, licensees. How to create your own curated list of companies perfect for your product. I've worked and honed this training during 5 years of coaching inventors. Your investment is just $97 for the entire workshop. Just go to alanbeckley.com/proven steps to join us now. Oh, there is an incentive bonus. 1 hour of coaching one-on-one with me for free. That's a $150 value you get just for joining the workshop. Again, don't wait. First class starts on Tuesday, October 22nd. Join us now so you don't miss out. www.alanbeckley.com/proven steps. And I'll see you Tuesday, October 22nd. So you're done searching for your product and it's not out there. Yay! Maybe you filed for a provisional patent and done some marketing research or surveys. Heck, maybe you've even created a rough prototype, then found that, although it kind of works, it looks like something from the Stone Age. You'd be embarrassed to show it to your friends, much less to a manufacturer for a licensing pitch. What if I could put you in touch with a guy who offers free consultations, takes no money down, no money up front, and will give you a quote on your project before he starts? What if I told you that this same guy can help you design your product and make you a virtual prototype before you ever put a penny into building a physical one? What if I told you he could make you patent drawings CAD files for manufacturing, and even make marketing videos and build you a website. If this sounds like someone you want to talk to, let me introduce you to my first podcast sponsor, Brian Keast at I Draw Dreams for Inventors. With 3.5 years of trade school and 15 years of mechanical experience working as a mechanic for General Motors, you have someone that's seen countless design failures and how they were fixed. Also, he had a 25-year career as a general contractor who designed his own houses and remodels on computer-aided design. In getting plans through countless building departments, he gained a tremendous amount of experience by working directly with structural engineers. The many years of combined experience in these two careers gave him a unique look into stresses and failures in design. He brings this wealth of knowledge and experience to his company, I Draw Dreams, as the CAD guy who will design a product for you that will work. Every inventor I've referred to Brian has come away delighted with the work he has done for them, and I think you will too. Just make sure to tell them that Alan sent you. Thanks so much for tuning in to Inventors Helping Inventors. If you like the show, please tell your friends about it. Make sure to subscribe in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts so you won't miss a single episode. Talk to you soon.